Okay, so we're gonna do a fun little experiment here tonight, partially on the Twitch and then partially in the Discord. Thursday nights is as of last week when Devin and I here started doing SideQuest strategy. If you're unfamiliar, well, we talked about it on the Twitch stream. So if you're here in the Twitch stream, you already know what it is. But it's what would you say? It's coaching. We are sharing all the things that we have learned over the course of, for me, over the last few years, and for Devin, substantially longer than that. But like all the things that we have learned about, making content here on the internet, which I think is a lot of fun if you, if you do it right, if you can hang in there, because there certainly is a route to burnout when you do this. Sure. And so that's one thing that I feel like doesn't get discussed enough, and why that happens. And I don't know. I just feel like, and you could touch on this too, but I feel like there's a lot of things that I knew nothing about social media when I started making content 3 years ago. I knew nothing. I mean, I posted, back in the MySpace days or whatever, I posted a couple of videos, and I ran my band account, but unsuccessfully, clearly. And so I knew nothing. I was a blank slate. And to be honest with you, I think that probably helped me a little bit, because I didn't follow any kind of rules. I was breaking all kinds of rules. Some of them were rules for a reason. I learned the hard way. Rules. Yeah, I learned the hard way. And there's lots of things that I know I have learned in the last 3 years that, if applied correctly, you could really have a really, really good time making content, and it's very fulfilling, especially for me and for my kids and my family. And I know Devin feels the same way, and Devin was the one that helped me learn the ropes on a lot of this stuff, especially when it comes to the back end stuff. I never paid attention to any of the analytics. It was like, what's that? I don't know what that is.
Yeah.
How many people watched my video?
I think it's one of the reasons why we're doing this is you were describing it as rules, like there's all these rules, but unfortunately I think the reason that we're here is it's not even like that simple. It's not like there are these hard and fast rules, right? You have gotten to where you are today not following any of the rules, like
For sure.
avidly breaking as many of the rules as possible. Like, so clearly showing that you don't have to follow these things. They're much more like guidelines, and I think a lot of these things will help grow people faster, but there are like some of them apply more than others, right? Some
Yeah.
of them depending on where you're at, what you're trying to do, what your goals are. And some of it comes down to like what niche you're in, what kinds of topics that you're talking about, right? Like each different segment of different people can have different rules that help you grow faster. So
Yeah. Why am I reversed? I tried to read your shirt. Oh, we are mirrored.
Okay, this is super weird. I didn't even notice that. So if you're in Discord, you can read it the right way because it's mirrored again in Discord.
What are you gonna do?
That's
I don't know. Good question.
crazy.
We're trying things. We're trying new things. Also, Michelle, I think you know what it is. It's supposed to be backwards. Actually, nothing is mirrored. My shirt is printed backwards.
It's just backwards.
But
That's the
yeah,
style. Have you seen all the hats printed backwards? That's the style.
Yeah, totally the style. I don't know. Your shirt says I'm a fool. It is. I'm a sucker for a fantasy. Nasty. It used to say nasty over here, but I cut it off. I'm just kidding. So yeah, you're right. There really aren't any rules, right? And I think that a lot of that comes. A lot of what I learned has come from like not following the rules and actively not being an avid consumer of social media, to be honest with you. And it sounds really stupid. It sounds really silly to say that like I have these like large channels on across different platforms, and I don't watch any social media, but I kind of don't. I follow a handful of people that I enjoy, most of them being like game makers or developers,
That's fair.
and a lot of friends, and that's pretty much it. So so I'm not seeing what's trending. I'm not seeing those sorts of things. Thus, I'm just sort of like creating in like this vacuum. I am quite literally, and we had this discussion last Thursday, um, on this show where we talked about how my theory for creating content is like the audience. Please don't take this the wrong way, guys, but the audience always comes last for me. It has to be fun for me. I have to like authentically make it for me first. And then turns out for me, this is how it works. For me, like if I'm truly making something for me, then I am by extension making it the best for the audience, because I want the community and the audience to share all of the same values and kind of morals that I do about everything. And so if I make it for me, then obviously it's going to work for the audience, and it's going to find the audience that I'm looking for. So like with a really great example, and again, I don't watch a lot of social media. I don't consume a lot of social media. But there's, there's some shit going on in the world right now, especially in like the last 24, 48 hours. Right. But I didn't even know about it. Like I go onto Instagram, and I swear to you, my like the things that I got fed was like, were you aware that Nintendo's hosting a direct tomorrow? And also,
Yeah.
look at this cat, this silly ass cat that fell off the desk. And then look at this dog that caught the frisbee in its butt cheeks or whatever. It's just like I had no idea that any of that stuff was happening. And so, like, your experience, and again, to touch on something that we talked about last Thursday, was like people have this this perception of social media, and that social media is, like destroying us as a culture or whatever. And it's not. It like your experience is only what you put in. You get back what you put in. It's all social media is just a mirror of humanity. And so like if you want the worst out of it, then you're going to get the worst out of it. And if you want the funny, butt frisbee catching dogs or whatever, that's what you're going to get. And so my
Absolutely
experience
what I
on
want.
there, yeah, my experience on there um isn't any of that. It's all just like funny, happy-go-lucky stuff. And it's like anything else, right? Like you could take alcohol or drugs or the atomic bomb for that matter. Like all of these things were created sort of because there was a need for something in the beginning, and it the intentions maybe were well in the beginning, right? And then it it turns into whatever we as a society make it. So that's my spiel on like, stay off social media. It's terrible for you. Like I was talking to the guys at work today, and they were just like, "Oh, I'm taking a social media break, man. There's too much bullshit going on in the world." And I'm like, "Fuck, what's going on? What happened? Did Nintendo go early?" And I don't know. I didn't know what happened. Like I don't know what's happening. All I know is that Nintendo might talk about Mario tomorrow.
That would be
So I'm
interesting.
excited. Yeah. So yeah, that's that. If you stay away from it, like you just get back what you put in. And at TopherCon in June, we did a panel. Ryan and I did a panel, and somebody asked. I don't even remember what the question was, but it was Mike that asked it. It was Rec Wizard that asked it. And the first thing that popped in my mind was like, and Dr. Mod always like points this out to me. He's like, you got to make like a quote about this or something, because he loved it. But it like the first thing that always pops into my mind is like, it's really easy to create like a never-ending garbage heap, because all the garbage is stuff that you just throw away. It's stuff that nobody wants, right? And like the more it piles up, it's easy. So you can draw in like rats, right? Like back in like the 80s, there was a trash strike in New York, and all of a sudden they noticed that a lot of apartment buildings and stuff were getting infested with rats, and people were just like, God damn, where's all these rats coming from? Why is this happening? It's because like there was a trash strike, and the trash men weren't picking up the trash for like weeks on end, and so it was bringing in rats, and rats multiply like crazy, right? But like swans, you can bring in one beautiful swan that turns into like this beautiful thing, and like they have like one egg, two eggs, and then you have three swans. Or you can just put out trash and get like hundreds of rats, right? That's
Yeah.
social media, like to a T. In
In a
you know
nutshell.
Yeah, I mean, it is. If
Yeah.
you want a lot of people to look at what you're doing, it's easier to do it if you're selling trash or you're putting trash out on the street,
Yeah.
because
It's easy to attract the rats.
that's what you're going to attract. But who wants a community full of like the the vermin that created the Black Plague, right? Like, I'd much rather have just a handful of you guys, you swans,
Oh, look at all these
all
beautiful
all
swans.
45 of you right now. Yeah. So if you want a community full of rats, put the trash out. Or, once a day you can bring out some nice breadcrumbs or some seeds or something. Feed the swans, man.
Feed your swans. That's very nice. Yeah, I don't think that has anything to do with what we're talking about. But
Yeah, I
that
mean,
was a great.
I was right up the middle with that one, right?
Yeah, that was good. Yeah, I like
Yeah.
that story. Yeah. Good. So I don't know if we want to give another quick little introduction of kind of what we're doing. I know that we tried to do that last week, not live on Twitch though. I know that you introduced your Twitch channel to the idea of what we were doing, but I don't know if you want to give a quick recap and kind of what we're doing, where we're going with this, and
Yeah,
where we're going to
definitely.
be in 30 minutes or so.
Yeah. So basically what Devin and I have started doing, or started here with SideQuest strategies, is like I was just saying, we are sharing all the information that we have learned over the last umpteen years. And I think that there's a lot of really easy, accessible things that you can find, whether it be on Instagram or YouTube or whatever, where it's like, what's the best way? What's the best time to post a video in the day? What are the best hashtags to use? Does niching down matter? Should I niche down? What are the benefits? What are the drawbacks? All of these questions that I asked Devin when he first became my coach for YouTube, last year-ish, whenever that was. Like, those were all questions that I had that I just sort of tested out and like spent a lot of time figuring out for myself. And so it's like, I said in one of my videos, I come from this very like creative side of things, where like that's all I'm focused on, is just being creative, and all the other like stuff doesn't really interest me that much, which is why our working relationship is so good, because Devin sits on the side of like understanding the trying to really understand the algorithm, trying to understand the ins and outs of how these platforms work, and why they work, and maybe even understanding a little more of like the social aspects of why certain things work, and just the the analytics in general. And so we put those two together and created a platform where we can share some of this stuff, because I've been wanting to share a lot of this stuff. I love talking about this stuff, obviously.
Absolutely.
So, like, here's an outlet for it. So we started, you could probably do a better job at explaining exactly what the server is and how it works, because
Yeah.
I don't do tech.
Just so happens that I do does tech, so here we are. So this I think this idea that we have of this side quest strategy and where we want it to go is very, very large. But where we've started is the Discord server. We do have a paid Discord server if you are interested in being in there with a bunch of other creators that are interested in growing in um, finding that audience and making money doing it. That's most people's goals when they start social media. There's no reason to be, ashamed of that. That's a lot of people's goals, but just reaching your goals, whatever they might be, whether it's to make money, whether it's to make memories, whether it's to, get the free product, whether it's to meet a bunch of new people and go on experiences and just live your best life. Whatever your goals are, that's the idea that we want to help people with because like Chris was saying, we've put a lot of time into social media. Um, I had, like Chris said, I worked, professionally in social media coaching before, where I would literally, my 8 hour workday was talking to people about social media, and then I'd get done, and this is my hobby. Yeah, literally, just when I would tell people that I've been talking about YouTube and Twitch and social media and all these things for 12, 14, 15, 16 hours a day for like 2 years. Like it's crazy how much we've talked about these different things and we've worked through these things and we've tested these things. You've tested most of it.
Yeah, I
Um,
question everything.
yeah. So Chris, and it's so funny because what happens, Chris, when you actually do test something out and you try something new and you maybe go with something that is a little bit closer to what these guidelines are suggesting, and maybe you make a video that aligns with some of these things. I would love for you to elaborate on what happens when you make a not 3 minute short video.
That is a short for me. Honestly, one of the things that was the hardest for me, like just a little quick side note, one of the things that was the hardest for me to do when I first started making short form content was like keeping my videos under 60 seconds was incredibly difficult.
Yeah,
I'm a talker, I'm a storyteller. And so like I had these 5-minute videos where I'm like, how in God's name am I going to cut this down to 60 seconds? Okay. But
that's a skill right there.
it actually, I appreciate it because for the
Hmm.
first 2 years, 2.5 years of me doing content, all shorts, with the exception of TikTok, all short form content on all platforms was 60 seconds or less. And that's where you wanted to be, was on those short shelves or on the in reels or whatever. So it actually over 2 years, 4 videos every single day for 2 years that have to be under 60 seconds long. It taught me how to tell a story
Mm,
in this much time,
yeah,
which I thought was impossible before then. But now that they've, you know, are
yeah,
thank God the attention spans of people these days are starting to get a little bit longer, and so now short form content can be up to 3 minutes. But to touch on what you were saying, um, I don't try and follow any specific guidelines when I'm creating content because I don't script any of my content. So I don't write anything out beforehand. I don't write the dialogue out. It's not like I have a teleprompter or notes in front of me or anything. Like I'm just, I'm sitting here and I look over and I'm like, I haven't played that game in a while. I'm gonna talk about that tonight. And then I just turn the camera on and talk. And then I talk for 5 minutes and then I chop it down to 3 or used to be 60 seconds. Um, and so for that reason, um, I just when 3-minute shorts opened up for me, I was like, oh, well, every video is just going to be 3 minutes now. So for the last however long it's been, 8 months, 6 months probably, all of my stuff has been 3 minutes. And I've had viral videos at 3 minutes, like, fairly successful videos at 3 minutes, and it's been great. But I I decided Monday, I was like, man, I'm just going to go so simple, the simplest thing possible. I'm going to talk about this new PSP or PS2 that Dr. Mod made in like the most layman terms. Like, I don't need to discuss all the crazy stuff that's in it. None of that. I'm just going to be like, check this out. PS2, small, plug it in, play games, done, and just see how it does. And that video went super viral. Like, yeah, it's at like 5.5 million views right now, just on Instagram alone.
Yeah.
So the point of that is, like, I mean, I guess that makes a point to the whole niche down thing too. And like, don't get caught. You don't want to get caught up in your own, like, it happens to me all the time. I sit there and I look at things and I'm like, I got a Mystery Music Monday. I got to make this video that's like they're going to stump everybody and nobody's even going to know where this music came from. And then it turns out when you do that, yeah, nobody knows where it came from. So nobody watches it.
Yeah. Nobody cares.
It's like, I don't know what the fucking weird, obscure bullshit this guy's pulling out of his butt. Like, I'm here for the Mario music. Play me the Mario Brother music. And then I, I'll do like Mystery Music Monday with, like I was saying earlier today, GoldenEye. Like, I'll use GoldenEye music. Everybody knows what GoldenEye music is. So then you get, 5,000 comments, which then only kicks in. Yeah. And it's like, but you also get those comments. I always try and avoid giving somebody the opportunity to be like, everybody knows what that music is, dumbass. What are you, you think you're some kind of historian? You're talking about the game that everybody knows,
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah. The simpler, the better, or the broader, I guess I should say.
And I think, just speaking to that video in general too, here's like one of those, super hot tips when you're creating video content like this. All you have to think about is the platforms themselves want to keep people watching your videos, right? If you can keep people engaged for your entire 3-minute video, that's going to get a lot more people. That's going to appease the algorithm very, very much. It's just a heck of a lot harder to do. How do you get people to sit and listen to your 3-minute video? But a easy 25-second video about something they know about and are familiar with, that's much more easy for somebody to commit to and want to watch the whole thing.
Yeah.
So it's a lot easier to keep people's attention that way.
It's definitely easier to keep people's attention that way. I mean, one of the things that, so I guess I said, when I sit down to make content, I don't plan anything out, or I don't script anything. I always think there's one thing that I do always take with me into every video. And that usually is, unless it's like vlog style content, which I'm doing a lot more of. But the question I always ask myself is, what is someone going to gain from watching this? Like, what is the point of this video? And like, there has to be a good answer to that. Because if there's not, personally, again, I'm making content for myself, right? I'm always making for me first. And I'm like, I'm not going to watch it. Like, what's the point? If there's not, obviously there's entertainment purposes for some things, but like, that's why most of my videos are like these weird little factoids about video games and stuff. But like, what does somebody get when they walk away from this video? Like, what will they remember? Ryan asked a really interesting question there. If you smarty McSparty pants for a hell of one.
I pinned it for later so that
okay, cool.
if we get there, we'll get there. I know that's not something that we're probably detailing in the stream tonight.
Yeah. Supreme asks if we're pre-ordering the new iPhone. I know Devin is. He still loves the iPhone. But yeah, I am on the upgrade program, so they just send me one every year. I will be getting a new one.
What color are you getting?
Devin can't wait for me to text him from my iPhone. I don't know. Honestly, it doesn't matter because I'm gonna put a.
Yeah.
I have the moment lens, the moment cases because my lenses. But we'll talk about that if we get to Ryan's question.
Yeah.
The orange one does look good.
So one of the things that we were planning on talking about tonight, even though we're already 30 minutes into this whole thing, but we were going to talk about niches. What exactly is a niche? Is a niche something that you need to be able to create content? We had some really good discussions after we were off the live stream last week with one of the Discord members about what do you do? Should you be niching down? I think the question was, I love so many things. Do I create content about all of those things? Do I share all of those things, or do I focus on one? Do I pick one and just go with it?
This is a question. This is an interesting question.
And I think it's a great question because, again, I want to preface with there is no right or wrong answer to this.
Oh, there's a right answer.
The best part is that you and I don't necessarily have the exact same view on it. So
yeah, for sure.
I think it's great. So
is Michelle the one telling Mod Retro that I only use one color chromatic? It's funny, Michelle. We had a discussion with Mod Retro today about. I quite literally, like, it's very funny that you said that because it was.
They were asking Chris why. Sorry.
He said, "Hey Topher, do you have multiple colors?" And I said, "Yeah, I have them." And he said, "Someone was pointing out that you always use the same color, but I don't know if that's true." Walter knows. And I'm like, "Yeah, I always use orange because that's like my thing, man. That's my color." I think Michelle's. Are you got a direct line, Michelle, with the guys over at Mod Retro? Somebody's ratting me out.
That's my guess.
I'm just kidding. Yeah. So niches.
Yeah. So do you need one?
What is a niche?
Oh, what is it?
What is a niche?
Yeah. So I've actually looked this up. It can be pronounced both niche or niche.
Yeah.
Those are both correct. So I still prefer niche. That's how I usually say it. So I apologize if somebody is on the other side of that. But I really think what it comes down to is picking a thing. Like, I think that's a great way to describe it. It's the thing that you are known for. And the common advice that you hear all the time is to niche down. It's to pick something like video.
Yeah, explain niche down. Like, what does niche down mean?
So it's picking something like video games. Okay, video games is still pretty broad. Are we talking all video games? Are we talking the arcade video games that are sitting behind you? Are we talking the brand new stuff, the newest consoles that are coming out? Are we talking games as a service? Those are completely different than, you're talking Fortnite versus something like the new Donkey Kong on Switch 2. Like, those are two completely different games that there might not be as much overlap in, right? So niching down is even going even further, right? Is going and picking a very, very specific thing, even deeper, talking about specifically retro games, talking specifically about one game in particular. There's millions of content creators out there that talk about one game all the time, all day.
My wife watches a content creator that is all Fortnite. That's it. Yeah, I feel very strongly about this, but this is it's also a very subjective thing, right? Because for me, I make like you were saying earlier, you can make content for a million different reasons. You could do it because
Yeah.
you want an income. You can do it because you want the social aspect of it. You can do it because you want to be famous or whatever. Um, you can do it because it is fulfilling or whatever. And one of the main reasons why I started making content was for my kids, because they showed interest in making content, and so I was like, well, you know, I should probably learn how to do this so I can do it with them and teach them. And then it became more of a family thing, and we do a lot of it together now. But for me, it needed to be something that was, and I didn't learn this until I got like really far down the hole of making videos. It was like I told myself early on, I'm just going to start making like 3 to 4 videos a day. It seems very daunting, but I'm just going to do that and just do it every single day. Because I thought like, well, what day should I post? And I'm like, no, I'm going to post every day, which came from the advice of Gary Vaynerchuk. And so I started doing that. And in doing that, I never sort of burned out. I never hit that moment of like, and trust me, the first, I don't know, it felt like the first 6 months, maybe even a year of making videos, like nobody was watching, which I don't think anybody was watching. You know, it was like nobody watches that stuff, because you're new and you're finding your audience and you're learning to hone your craft. But somehow, I never burned out. Like it never got old to me, and I just like, it was this moment of like, after doing it for like 6 months or whatever it was, every single day, I realized I had that like realization of like, wow, I've done this every single day. Multiple times a day too, 4 times a day. And it's not, when you first start editing videos and stuff, it's not an easy task. You have to learn all that stuff. And it was about 6 months in where I realized the reason why I love it, the reason why I didn't get burnt out. And it's because it was so fulfilling to me. The process of making the content, thinking about what I'm going to make content about, then shooting the content was fun for me, super fun. And then I made, and we, Species or Total Trek, if you're here, like you remember this from last week, like one of the most important things for me was creating a routine out of the content creation. If you make it a rewarding routine, then it, especially if it's something that you enjoy doing, you get associated with good feelings when you do it. So I made editing, which was, for most people, is by far the thing that they probably like the least. Make it a routine that is rewarding. So I did that, and all combined, it was because I wasn't niching down. That's why I didn't get burnt out, because I wasn't like, I'm only going to make games about, I remember Wrecked Wizard told me at one point, like when he first started his channel, he was like, yeah, I was just going to be a Skyrim guy. I was just going to make, and I was like, dude, I love Skyrim, but I would hate Skyrim if I made like 6 months worth of content about it. And I realized that's what it was. The very first viral video I ever had wasn't even video game related. Well, it was a plant video, had video game music in it, so sort of video game related. But it wasn't video game related, and then I started moving into video game stuff because that is my passion. But then I also like started doing stuff with my family because that's also a passion of mine. And then I make videos about shoes, and I make videos about like music sometimes, and I realized I'm just making content about the stuff that I like, that I'm passionate about. And some days I'm not passionate about video games. Like 2 weekends ago, I was passionate about taking my kids to see Alien Ant Farm in Tahoe and riding to the top of the ski thing on the gondola. That's what I was passionate about that day. So that's the content that you got, because that's who I was that day. And so when I first started hearing about, this whole idea of niching down, I think we when you were coaching me still, you were just like, hey, like maybe you should really niche down into like this one niche. And I'm like, man, that sounds like I would hate it after a while. Like it'd be really cool to make controller content for like 2 weeks, And then after that, I'd be like, Jesus, I can't make another video about a controller.
Yeah.
And so that was actually the special sauce that made it, that didn't break me.
Sure.
That made it like I could go. I made a video. I haven't released this one because I don't know. I just need to edit it. But we went to a buffet 2-3 weekends ago. That was just like super weird buffet, and I was like, man, I'm just gonna make a video about this experience because it's weird. It was a weird experience. It has nothing to do with anything else on my channel.
Yeah.
Nothing. But I wanted to build like around me and not around like the one thing that I like. I don't want to be known as that one guy.
Well, and I think you touched on something really important, that you not
Right.
niching down helped you to not burn out. But I would say for most people, again, depending on exactly what your goals are and what you're doing and how much you like this kind of thing, um, you typically you probably your social media channels probably grew a lot slower than if
Yeah.
you would have niched down,
Mhm.
right? And a lot of people start posting on social media, especially if they want, go in with that goal of trying to make money, get subscribers, get those viewers, and that kind of stuff. If they don't niche down, you're not going to see those results fast enough where you want to keep going, unless you are deeply passionate about every single video that you make, and making the video is in itself, the goal, the what you're trying to get out of it.
Mhm.
um, I would 99 times out of 100, the person that focuses in, the more niched that they are, the faster they're going to probably grow their channel. It
For
is
sure.
what I would bet money, well over 90% of the time that that's going to be the case. Obviously, it always depends on the person and what they're doing and that kind of thing. But
My concern with niching down early on was I didn't want to like and actors say this all the time. In fact, The Rock was just in an interview just a couple of days ago
Mhm.
talking about being typecast, and like he's like, "Well, I I like action movies, but I want to be a dramatic actor too. You know, like I don't want to be stuck in like as the James Bond villain my whole life or whatever." And that was my thing with like niching down is what if one spring I really got into gardening, and like I just wanted to start making videos about that. And then I would put, it's funny, people mistakenly took my channel early on as a gardening channel, especially on Facebook, which is where I don't spend a lot of time, but like it auto posts over there. I used to post a lot of gardening stuff. The first spring that I was doing this, it was mostly gardening stuff. And then I started posting a little bit of game stuff, and people over there were just like up in arms. The comments were just like, "What is this? Gardening? What happened? This was a gardening channel." And my response was like, "What are you talking about, dude? This is my channel. This is what I want to do. No, I'm not a gardening channel. I just happen to be gardening, you know?"
Mhm.
Um, so I was worried about that. And I was worried like, well, I don't ever want to burn out on doing this. And it seemed to me like niching down or finding a niche was like the fastest route to burnout for me. I watched other people, not to like name drop anybody, Wrecked Wizard, but like uh, I've watched people go through these phases of like, I'm gonna be the PlayStation 2 hunter guy,
Mhm.
right? I'm gonna collect. It's the quest, whatever it was called, the quest for PlayStation 2 games, and like, you know, love that dude to death. But at the same time, like after like 4 weeks of hunting PS2 games and exclusively making PS2 content, he was over my house one day. We were sitting on the patio, and he's just like, "Dude, I just want to fucking vomit PS2 games." Like I'm so sick of retro. And I'm like, "Well, fucking make something else, dude. Like,
Yeah.
make what are you playing right now? What are you liking?" He's like, "Man, I'm really liking my PS5." And I'm like, "Make a fucking PS5 video." You know what I mean? Who cares?
Yeah.
Like, just make the video. And so I think it's easy to get stuck in your own head with that sort of mentality. Once you niche down, you're like, "Oh, well, that's sort of what I'm known for," Like I don't want to stray too far from that. So yeah, I mean, that was my biggest fear.
Sure.
And I'm still waiting on the cheese toast video. I'm down, man. I will make a cheese toast video like you ain't never seen before. But that's what it was for me. And you are right. There were plenty of times where, like, I think the first I have to go back and look at the video now, but like that very first viral video I had on YouTube, which did like, it was a lot, 6 million views or something like that. And that it was a mystery plant.
Yeah.
That video, the amount of subs that came from that video was astronomical. And I don't remember what the number was, but I want to say it was in the upwards of like 20 or 30,000
I
subs.
was gonna say I think it was over 30,000 at least
Yeah.
when we were like talking about it. I'm sure
Yeah.
it's gained plenty more
from the one
Yeah.
video, right? Which is like, oh my God, everybody is just gonna know me as the mystery plant guy. Like what? But and I was so worried, like, no, I'm gonna put out these videos and nobody's gonna watch them, these video game videos, and nobody's gonna watch them because everybody's gonna be like, yeah, shut up about your PlayStation, man. Where's the mystery plant? And so I was like really, really worried about that. And so early on, I did try and like detour myself. Like I try and do a little bit of everything. And I know, to your point, that that it has slowed my progress by doing that. But I was fortunate enough to be in a position where it was like, that's okay. I'm not like looking to get rich off of doing this or anything. I care more about building the community that I want, that are going to watch my videos. Like I want to one day, I want to put out a video where me and my family just go to a old broke down mall and actually have people watch it instead of 10 people watch it. I want to actually have people watch it. And after doing it enough and staying consistent, now I can do that, and it's very cool. And so that was the benefit of like not niching down for me. It's like I worked out without steroids, and so like it took me longer.
Okay.
It took me longer.
You didn't have any of the protein shakes. You didn't have like somebody somebody was yelling at you like, dude, just do the exercise like this, and you're like, no, man, I'll just do like 1 rep today, and
yeah, I'll get to it tomorrow.
I'll figure it out.
And they'll be like, well, you're supposed to be doing arms today. Nah, I feel like doing legs, man. Yeah. It feels like a good day to do legs. That was me. That's still me. Yeah. And so,
but like, you do it long enough, and those muscles will show up.
Yes, if you do it long enough. What is the old Kevin Costner movie? If you build it, they will come. Right? Like, this is the field of dreams. It's the long con for me. I'm in it for the long haul. I'm also like, my number one goal, going back to my original, like, rats versus swans thing, my number one goal was like to build a community of like-minded people who just wanted to enjoy each other's company, whether it be talking about video games or gardening or whatever. Like, one of my favorite things to do when I become close enough with any of you guys in the community, which I have over the last, especially everybody who's here right now, like the 60 of you that are here right now, like I feel like the majority of you I know on a first name basis, and we talk, like I know you. Maybe we haven't met Michelle, Adam, in person yet, but like I feel like I know you guys, and that's a relationship that it's special to me. And that's the sort of relationship that I wanted to build, and that's the kind of community that I wanted to build. And I think so many people early on get caught up in this idea of, especially if you make a video that is like trashing something or talking bad about something, and it does well, you have a tendency, everybody, including myself, has a tendency to go back to the well on the one thing that they first did good on. Like, for 3 seasons, I went back to the well on Mystery Plant Theater,
Yeah.
thinking every year it was just gonna. Which actually the second year it actually did better than the first year, but like, and it's the same thing that you'll get with, again, love Mike. He's an awesome, super awesome creator.
We need to watch some more creators so that we can have more examples of people to talk about.
I don't watch anybody else, but like Mike is a good friend of mine, and so that's why. And he is somebody that I've shared a lot of this stuff with. I've sat down and talked to the guy for a very long time about this, and he's actually taught me a lot of stuff too because he's been doing it longer than me. But one of the first videos that he ever had went viral was one where he was like, he had gone to a flea market and somebody tried to sell him a game for like way overpriced, and he had this argument, and so he was so mad he got in his car and made a video about it, talking hella bad about this guy, and the video like blew. Oh no, it was DK Oldies.
Yeah.
That's what it was. It was a DK Oldies video, and like he was just ranting and going on about DK Oldies, and the video went viral. And so it's easy when you have the success doing something like that. You're like, well, it's the one thing, it's the one thing that like had me as my first little bit of success. And so, you go like, especially when things start to get dry, you have a tendency to go back and be like, well, I'm going to try and recreate that magic.
Yeah.
But the one thing that a lot of people don't tell you about, this applies to content creation, this applies to parenting, it applies to relationship building, it applies to everything in life. The thing that got you where you are now is not the thing that's going to get you to that next level. It never is.
Wow,
It never is the case.
Somebody clip that one.
Clip it. You always have to recreate yourself and evolve, because the ladder that got you to your plateau now is not big enough to get you to the next one. You have to figure out a new way.
That's good.
And so that's the one thing that I have learned about, like, especially when it comes to niching down and that sort of stuff.
So one other thing I wanted to just circle back to really quickly, because you said it and it was like a major thing that I wanted to just mention really quick. You talked about your you didn't really want to niche down. You wanted to create a community of like-minded people that just wanted to hang out and play some games and have fun and do all that, right?
A cult, if you will. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, I wasn't gonna say it, but I mean, if that's fine. Okay, as long as everybody's aware, then that's fine. Okay, but
I have Kool-Aid at the end of this.
Yeah. Make sure you sign these papers. Okay. So I think the interesting part about that is like that is a niche. Like you can be the niche in your content.
For sure.
The problem with that is that it is really, really difficult to express that to people in a way, to strangers on the internet, to anybody, right? In a way that is going to make them interested in that niche. Obviously, once people get bought in, that's what they're there for. As soon as they discover like that's your niche, oh my god, I love it. I love that niche. It's amazing. I want to be a part of it. It's amazing, right? But it's like literally like walking past somebody on the street, right? You have a second. That's what like flipping through shorts is, right? Flipping through TikTok. You're walking past people on the street. How do you grab their attention with and get them to want to stick around? By yelling, I'm a really cool person. Hey, stop and talk to me. I'm awesome. Like, is that gonna work if you're like walking down the street?
I mean, you gotta look cool.
But exactly, but I bet you, well, no, hear me out. But I bet you that you get a lot of people that stop you and say, dude, that's a really cool tattoo. I love Mario. I love video games. And instantly, you guys are talking about video games, the latest game that just came out. If you guys bought a Switch 2 or something, because that's a really easy niche to understand and like have a conversation about. But I promise you, if you were wearing sleeves like I am, like first off, we'd be all freaked out. But second, like if you just yelled at somebody like I'm a really cool person, like Okay. Like, it's the same
Sure,
with
buddy.
social media, right?
Yeah.
So it's the same when somebody's flipping on Instagram Reels or TikTok or whatever. When they see you pop up for like 3 seconds, you have those couple of seconds to try to grab their attention. And it is really, really, really hard to get them to pay attention if you're just shouting, "My niche is me. Pay attention to me. I'm really cool. I'm an awesome guy. I have a great personality. Come hang out with me."
Hmm.
So
It's definitely difficult.
it's a valid niche. It's just
Yeah.
very difficult.
Yeah. I completely agree. Also, Ryan, uh, you were talking about mod retro. I can't show the title of the game, so I got to cover it. But like, I'm playing
Oh
I'm
gosh.
playing a new game that's coming out soon right now. That I think you're really gonna like. So you were talking about mod retro. It's gonna be a good one. We're gonna play it live on stream here soon. As soon as I can talk about it. Can't show you the name though.
Yeah, you
I'd get in
definitely
trouble.
yeah, you shouldn't do that.
Yeah. But yeah, that's that is my opinion on
Yeah.
niching down. I'm not a big fan. But that for that reason. But also
Yeah. It makes
I
sense.
I, I have a I have a tendency to like question everything anyways. Because it's always just like, well, why? Why would I do that if I could just do this? You know? Um, I don't know. I I am a bit of a rule breaker, I guess, purposely maybe. I
Yeah.
don't know.
All right. Here's one more question before we probably jump back to the Discord server and do our Q&A over there. But this one is always an interesting one to me. Um, a question that I've got a lot and I think stops a lot of people from starting and creating and doing something that they do love is that my niche is saturated. What do I do? If I do want to niche down, if I do want to talk about something in particular, but it's oversaturated, like, do I just need
I
to
mean,
pick
that was a
something up?
thought that I had,
Yeah.
when thinking like, well, retro games, right? Which is like if you had to pinpoint a niche for me and my channel,
Yeah.
that's probably it, right?
Yeah.
Retro games.
Mhm.
But like, goddamn, you can't go anywhere on the internet without seeing videos about retro games. And so that was like, well, how do I make myself stand out? Like,
Mhm.
how do I? What is the answer there?
Well, I think that's the answer to my question. If your niche is saturated, what do you need to do? You need to find a way to stand out. So how
Mhm.
did you stand out in the retro game world?
What's up, Derek James? I mean, honestly, the best thing that I could have ever done was not watch other creators in the niche that I was creating in. Because the one thing that is the easiest to trip up on is you sit and just as a little sidetrack, one of the things that I get asked all the time is how do you come up with like ideas for 4 videos a day? And it's like, well, I just like I just am endlessly thinking about video games or gardening or my kids or whatever. So when I think about that thing and I go like, a really good example is early on in my content creation journey, I made it was before I was doing Mystery Music Monday, I think. And I made a video about um, the 007 Goldeneye music because I
Mm.
had just gotten like the vinyl collection, and I again I'm an old dude. You know what I mean? I'm Gen X. I don't spend a lot of time on the internet, but I played a lot of Goldeneye growing up, and so to me it was very good underrated music, and so I called it underrated music, which I've learned now, internet, that Goldeneye is not underrated. That a lot of people love that
Yeah.
music. But that video went like super viral. And
Yeah.
people I did get a lot of comments of like people being like, "Where have you been? Under a rock?" this is some of the most iconic music in video games. And I'm like, well, yeah, I thought so, but I don't know. Like, nobody talks about it amongst my circle. Nobody's talking about GoldenEye stuff.
Yeah.
And so if I would have been plugged in and watching other people's content, then like automatically in my mind, I would have been like, oh, well, I'm not going to make a video about that because everybody made a video about that. Like, everybody knows about that. But I didn't. I didn't know. So I just made a video, and the video did really well, and it got me more exposure because I wasn't worried about what somebody else had and had not done. I'm not trying to be original in doing what I do. I'm just trying to be genuinely me. And if people like that, then that's cool. And if people don't, that's cool too. I was at a really good example is I was at SoCal Gaming Expo last year, and one of my friends who also creates content, you probably know who I'm talking about. Don't need to name again. We were walking through, and there was a PSX sitting on this table, and the guy wanted $1,200 for it, which is grossly overpriced for a PlayStation, a PSX. If you're unfamiliar with a PSX, it's only Japanese. It was a big PlayStation 2 that had a DVR built into it. And I was like, man, I just want to make a video about it though, you know? And this creator I was with was just like, oh, so-and-so already made a video about that. Those things are a piece of garbage. They're like a dime a dozen over in Japan. He's like, $1,200 is cheaper for you to fly to Japan and buy one out of a thrift store and bring it back, you know? And I was like, all right. Well, I don't know. I don't watch any content, and I think they're super fascinating. And he's just like, so-and-so also covered it too. And this person made a video, and that person made a video. And I was just like, I remember looking at him and being like, well, what if I made a video about it? And what if people liked that video? You know? And I didn't buy it because it's $1,200, and that was absurd. But like 2 months later, Dr. Mod shows up at my house with like 3 of them. He's like, look, I found these things that you were talking about. And I was like, whoa. And so he fixed one up for me and everything. And I made a video about it. I made a long form video and a couple of shorts. And to this day, it's like one of my best performing long form videos, was just a history of the PSX. A lot of people didn't realize that it was actually real. And if I, again, going back to the whole, like, if I were super plugged in and watched everybody else's content and then judged the content that I potentially could or should be creating based off of space in that market or space in that niche, then there's plenty of videos that I wouldn't have made because I would have been, you know, the way, at least the way my brain works, be like, oh, well, so-and-so and that person also made videos about it. And so I shouldn't make a video. The Metal Gear Solid Collector's Edition, box Collector's Edition is a really good example of like just me not being plugged in and by happenstance making a video that does well. Like, I didn't know people thought that thing was a total piece of trash. I didn't know that people thought that Snake was painted terribly. I didn't know any of that because, like, I don't watch anybody's content. So, like, I saw it at the store. I saw this big, beautiful box, and it was like, comes with a terrarium. And I was like, fuck yeah, that's awesome. I'm going to buy this. And then I unboxed it in that video, and you see my authentic reaction. I was just like, oh,
this is cool.
This is this is neat. It's like, well, it's all taken apart and it's cracked. It's an interesting looking snake. Okay. And like, if I would have known already that, first off, if I would have known that the collector's edition wasn't very good or that people didn't like it, I probably wouldn't have bought it, first off. And then secondly, I certainly wouldn't have made a video about it because I was like, oh, everybody's already covered that. Yeah. Like, everybody's already covered it. So, you know, I don't really pay attention to what's going on around me. It's a curse and a blessing.
Yeah. I think it really is. I think it's an interesting, I mean, you know, the way that you're talking about it, almost like, you know, doing research on what else is going on out there. And there's part of it, like, man, if other people are making content out of it and it's being successful, that means that like there's a demand for that kind of content. So like that means you should be getting views on your videos if you make that kind of content, right?
Yeah.
There's so many people think that social media is, a zero sum game. That if somebody goes and watches your video, they're not going to come and watch mine. But how many people how many people do you know? How many every raise your hand in chat if you go onto social media, any social media platform and watch one single video and then you're done. You close the app, whatever, and you're done. Well, again, you just said like like people watch content, right? Like if they watch a video on something,
Yeah, nobody else does that. Like everybody else scrolls a lot.
yeah, people scroll. People watch a lot of videos in a row. Even when you go to a platform like long form YouTube videos, if you're looking up a video for that, Metal Gear Solid Special Edition, like, oh, I really want to get it. I'm going to try to find a reason to justify spending that much money. So I watch this guy's video, and oh, he hated it. Oh, that's not good.
Mhm,
Like, oh, okay. Well, let me try to find somebody else's. Anybody else able to tell me, something different? Maybe
mhm.
that guy's just mad at the word. Every single one of his videos, he's mad about something. So I'm gonna go watch this guy. Let me watch this one. Let me watch it. Like people watch multiple videos. It's not a zero sum game. A lot of people you will use the phrase, rising tides float all boats or something,
Yeah.
whatever it
Yeah.
is, so, and it's one of those things that the amount of times I've seen something else really, really interesting happen where somebody will put out a video about a random topic, and it'll be just a 10 out of 10 video, right? It'll just not do anything. And then months later, all of a sudden that video starts going crazy. We're trying to figure out like what happened. We didn't touch it. We didn't do anything with it. What changed? What happened?
That
Oh,
happened to me.
this really popular person over here made a video about the same topic. And all of a sudden, people got interested in that topic. And then theirs video was the next logical video that people were watching
Mhm.
and found because of that topic. They didn't get pushed out of the space because this really popular person over here with 2 million subscribers made a video about it. They their video went, semi-viral because
Yeah.
of that video.
Yeah. Somebody out there made a mystery plant video that kicked off my
Oh, really?
well, because the first mystery plant
Yeah.
video that went viral on YouTube, because it happened on YouTube way later than the rest of the platforms. It was like a 3-month time frame where it was like I put the video out, it got like 1,000 views,
Mhm.
and then got no more views
Yeah.
for months. And then all of a sudden, Leland was in the car and he was like looking on his iPad and he's like, "Dad, one of your YouTube shorts has like 100,000 views." And I was like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, look." And I was like, "The mystery plant was from like 3 months ago." And then all of a sudden, the next day, it was like 1 million, 2 million, 3 million, and I'm like, "Whoa!" That was the first time I realized, like, hey, that could happen very easily on YouTube.
Mm.
It's wild.
Yeah.
So what is the next step in this?
Yeah.
I guess let's explain to people who like this is
Sure.
a little taste
Yeah.
of like what we do
Yeah.
in SideQuest strategy.
Yeah. So this is going to be the weekly stream that we do. I think it's working pretty well on Thursday night so far. Uh,
Yeah.
but we could always switch it up. And honestly, if we get enough people,
Thanks, Derek.
I mean, we could always throw an extra one on a different day or something. But I think the idea is that this is just kind of the beginning. This is the weekly, free sample that you get at Costco, once a week. But if you want the full course, you should really look at joining the Discord server, because we are going to get off of this live stream here and we're going to jump into one of the voice chats there. We're going to, do a live Q&A with
Yeah, go
everybody
one
in
on
the
one.
Discord server, and it's a fantastic time. Last week was a blast, and I'm super excited to do it again. Um, and outside of just that, I mean, it's a Discord server. It's a community of other people that are all looking to grow on social media. That there's channels for you know, logging your successes and the struggles that you're having. There's a channel, you know, asking for feedback, asking questions about these things. Again, I think I've gotten, you know, in my professional career, every question. There's not many questions that I haven't gotten before, and like asked other professionals about, talked to other people about, researched and ran across and done all of that kind of stuff. So like we've got a bunch of different channels in there to collaborate, to ask questions, to request feedback on the stuff that you're doing, and just network with other
Well, and that's the
like-minded
thing that
people.
I really enjoyed this last week
Mm,
was, you know, we had Total Trek post his first YouTube videos, long form YouTube videos in one of those sections of Discords where we can go in there and then watch them. And, you know, I get to see the content that you guys are making, you know, based off of some of the suggestions that we give. Um, and after having that, you know, that one-on-one chat with Total Trek last week, and then being able to sit down one night and watch the content and just him doing it was
yeah.
super rewarding for me.
Mhm.
Um, and so there's tons of stuff in there that I would have totally died for early on in my content
Yeah.
creation, you know, journey.
Yeah. Dude, you want to alienate yourself from the rest of the world? Become a content creator.
Hmm.
You think being a nerd and playing video games like alienates you from people? Do you think that like listening to a certain kind of music or like looking a
Yeah,
certain way, dude, become a content creator
yeah,
and just nobody understands.
yeah. You want to
But
do something that nobody will ever understand?
nobody will ever
Do
understand.
this.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So finding a group of content creators, like-minded people that want to do this and want to be successful, is a really, really cool thing. And I've been working. There's a couple of people that I've brought into this server as well, just to help out. That I've been, you know, that I've been basically doing this with for a very long time already. Just having these conversations with these guys, and it is life changing, very, very motivating. It is one of those things that you know,
Mhm.
keeps me going every day doing this kind of thing. So if you're
Yeah.
interested and you're serious about content creation, we're here to help.
Yeah, because we do one-on-one. Like last week, we did a one-on-one video chat
Mm.
with Total Trek for gosh, 30 minutes or so. It was a lot of
It was
fun.
it was good.
Somebody asked a question though that I want to address. Mikey
Yeah.
Dynamite asked, how do you schedule posts on Instagram? And I think that's a really interesting question. And we'll kind of like lead out with that. Um, because your question, so are you asking me like quite legitimately, how do you schedule a post? Or are you asking me how I schedule my posts for
Yeah, what's the
Instagram?
strategy around scheduling
Yeah.
posts?
Yeah. Are you asking about scheduling, like timing and
The
scheduling, or are you asking
step
like
by step, how
quite
do you do
legitimately,
it?
how do you? Because if you're asking that, I don't know. I don't do that. But if you're asking the
I don't know.
other version of that, I have a lot to say on that actually.
I'm trying to
Um,
think if I've ever scheduled an Instagram post.
I you can do it. I've never done it
Yeah,
though.
I don't know if I have. And of course, it's probably different. Like, you probably do it a different way for a post than you do for a reel. Oh, actually, now that I say that, I think you have to do reels through the desktop app, or you have to do it
I'm
through the Meta Business, whatever they
maybe.
call it now. I think that's
Okay,
how you
so he says both ish.
okay.
Okay, so first off, I post all of my videos to multiple platforms, so I do not use any scheduling software. I hand post everything, and that sucks. But right now, it's the best way for me to do it because not everything is the same. Um, like the copy on the description on Instagram is different than like the description on um, TikTok. And YouTube has titling. Instagram and TikTok don't have titling. So like there's so many different things that happen there that I post I post all of my stuff individually. So I don't use any kind of scheduling program. One of these days, like I would love to just hire somebody to, like, if you're a person who just wants to like write all the posts and get the videos posted, reach out to me. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
One day. And then the second part of your question is, do I schedule my posts? Like, what time do I schedule my posting and stuff? I was pretty adamant on, I don't know if you guys have noticed this on the Twitch, but like I am very adamant when it comes to timing. So like when I go live at 7 o'clock every night. Maybe it's 7:01 sometimes, but like it's always 7 o'clock. I'm not one of those streamers that's like, catch me when I'm on, because it just that for me that wouldn't work. And so I pay the same respect to the people who show up to watch me. If you're, with the exception of like last night was Leland's birthday, but like we'll usually post in the Discord that we're not going to stream. If it's not posted, I'm live at 7 o'clock. Heaven forbid we have some kind of weird technical problem. So I was very adamant early on about what times I post. And so that was always, for me, it was always 3 to 4 videos. And so the scheduling went something like, this is my time, Pacific time, but it was like 10 a.m., between 12 and 1 a.m., or between 12 and 1 p.m. And then like maybe a 3 o'clock post if I have 4, and then one when I get off work at 5 o'clock or maybe 6 o'clock. And then if it's 3, I spread them out. I typically never, with some exceptions, I never post earlier than like 10 o'clock my time, and I never post any later than about 6 o'clock my time, for a very long time. But as my channels have grown and the communities have just gotten bigger and bigger, Devin actually kind of reminds me of this when I'm talking about posting my long form videos, is like I have enough of an audience now that it kind of doesn't really matter. I can post it whenever I want and people will, they'll watch it. You guys find it, whether it be tonight or tomorrow or the next day, you'll find it. So I'm not as concerned anymore, but timing does have a little something to do with success of what you're doing. You definitely don't want to crowd things too much. I see, especially TikTok. The only time I'm ever on TikTok is when I'm posting a video. No offense to any of you guys who found me on TikTok. If you did, I love you. But TikTok is a fucking trash fire. Like, I am not a fan of TikTok. I post there and I appreciate the people who watch there. But you won't see me engaging all that often there. And that's mostly because like I don't know. I have multiple reasons behind that. But where the hell was I even going with that? Timing? Yeah. So like it sort of matters early on. But it also kind of doesn't.
Opposite. Yeah, it really.
You don't think it matters at all?
No. I think the only way that timing matters is, one, for yourself. If that's what helps keep you consistent, posting consistently is saying, I need to get my video out by this day. I need to create this. I need to do it by this time, this day. If that helps you, do it. Go for it. I think for streaming, it is one of the most important things. Unless you are super famous with 1 million subscribers, you cannot just go live whenever and expect people to be there. You have to have a schedule. It just doesn't work any other way. For creating other content, the algorithms are very, very smart at this point. They are very good. They are very good at getting the right content to the right people when they're online. The only other way that it matters is for people with notifications on. If you just all of a sudden post a video at 3 a.m. and people that normally would view your content via notifications don't get that notification, it's during a busy time, they don't see it, whatever. But again, that could happen whenever. And to be honest, all of the data that I've seen of people actually getting into content from notifications is so extremely small that, again, I wouldn't worry about that. The other thing, looks like we just lost Chris.
Uh-oh.
Welcome back.
I didn't do anything.
I don't know what happened.
We switched sides.
Yep, we did, which
That's
is
all right.
good. The last thing I was going to say about timing is I don't remember what it was going to be, but I had one more thing.
It doesn't matter so much.
Yeah, I really don't think it matters a ton.
Yeah, that's I'm feeling that way about a lot of things.
Yeah.
Especially like hashtags and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, there's
again, here's your, if you take away one thing about content creation, there's all of these little things like timing and, you know, figuring these things out that are like the minor movements. These are those things that I talk about, and I love obsessing with people like you, Topher, that have, you know, hundreds of thousands of subscribers. And when you post a video at this time versus this time, you actually get enough data in your analytics that we can look at it and see if it actually made a difference, right?
Mhm.
When you're starting out, if you're less than like 1,000 subscribers on whatever platform you're posting on, you're probably not going to get enough data to figure out if that helped or was better or not, right? The one thing that you should be worried about when you are posting on any platform at this point is, how do I keep people on this platform? Because that's the only thing that they care about. All of those social media platforms, all they're trying to do is keep people on their platform. So any of this stuff that can help is awesome, but just focus on that. How do I keep people watching my content? How do I keep people on this platform? And the algorithms will appreciate that.
Mhm. Yeah, definitely. I agree. I concur.
Cool. Well, there's at least one thing that we agree on.
Yeah. But this is what makes it so much fun, because like if you know, I wouldn't learn anything if I was like, "Hey, I think I should do this." And you're like, "Yeah, totally. You should do that. Absolutely. Exactly like that."
Yeah.
And then it's like, "Oh, well, what's the point in bouncing anything off you if we just
Yeah.
like everything is exact?"
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So,
Cool.
yeah. Yep.
All right.
All right. Well, we're going to switch back over to the Discord.
Yep.
Where we're going to do a live Q&A and talk to anybody that's over there. You are totally welcome to hop over there. Excuse me. It is a subscription-based Discord. Just heads up. And if not, well, I like doing this too. It was fun streaming here. You guys have been awesome. And
Yes.
hopefully you got something out of it. And stay tuned. Hit the SideQuest community here. It's in the chat right here somewhere. And yeah, check it out if this is the sort of thing you're interested in, because we're gonna hop over there right now and do a Q&A.
All right.
And have one-on-one FaceTime with some of y'all.
Have a good one, everybody.
Good night, y'all.
See you later.
Later.